this car right here is Branden's 1977 C3 Corvette, which is going to need a lot of love. So the main thing he wants me to do is he wants me to figure out the window situation, because there's no windows or anything inside, so that all stuff needs to be installed. There's a bunch of wiring issues and stuff inside the engine bay, so we'll get to that when we get to that. And then also it needs headlights put in and stuff like that. So I've noticed there's a lot of stuff missing on this car that isn't correct, but we'll just go step by step on it. First thing I got to do, I got to take everything out that's inside of it and just see what I have to work with. Alright, now we have everything out of the car that needs to be out of the car. So we have new door handles, we have new hardware for the insides of the doors, new tail lights, headlight rebuild kit, new lenses for the front, a couple more door parts. We have every single piece of weather stripping you could possibly want, even maybe a little bit extra. Let's see, in here we have the door mirrors for that. And then here we have the headlights. It's weird because one of these has a new actuator and one doesn't. And then, you know, one has new springs and is all painted up really nice and one isn't. So what I plan on doing is we'll put the headlights in today. I think that's a good start to this project. Now, again, there's no relays, there's no hoses, there's no anything like that, but I can at least get the doors put in and installed like they're supposed to be. That's not too hard of a job, as long as it's not rusty under here and it feels pretty good. So it shouldn't be that hard of a job, especially when there's nothing in the way. There's not even a impact bar. I don't know if he wants to put that in, but I guarantee you the stock one's not going to fit behind this 8082 custom rear, front bumper that's on it. So it's his car. He's going to have to decide what he wants to do with it and go from there. I'm going to install the headlights and then I will plumb them accordingly once we get to that point. I'll tell you what, somebody went really crazy on the parts catalog on this Corvette. This entire assembly, so arm, actuator, headlight, door, everything is brand new. I've never actually seen one of these because they're too expensive for me to buy. But the problem with this brand new one is that whoever painted it, they just painted all over the sides of it, so it's not pretty anymore. All they had to do was take this bezel off and then paint the top, but whatever. Alright, so it's all new, which means it should go in pretty well. I'm not going to bother to test the actuator, but what I do need to do is I need to remove it in order to fit it into the car. The other thing that I had to do is there's no hardware for it, so I had to scrounge up some hardware out of my parts bucket to work on this. So there's basically 4 bolts on each headlight door, and that's how they go in. So luckily for Branden, I had them. So let's get this torn apart and put in the car. Alright, we have one light in. So let's try to get the gaps reasonably right. They were never really perfect from the factory, and this tape makes the gaps look different than they're really going to be. But I was having issue right here with the back of the headlight hitting the top, and so I've adjusted it so that it will open like it's supposed to. And what I had to do was, well, let me show you on this other headlight. There's an adjustment right here with these 2 screws that basically moves the headlight door up and down. And I had to adjust that just a little bit. So now what I can do is I can adjust the headlight backwards and forwards, kind of rotate it so that it fits just a little bit better in the hole, and we should be good. That shouldn't be that hard of an adjustment. It's just the bolts that are on the corners. You just kind of loosen them all up and move it around. So a little tweaking and it'll look really, really good. I'm curious who painted this car. I'm documenting this so I don't get in trouble for it later, but I mean, the tape is taking the paint off. This tape is, it's painter's tape. It's not supposed to be that hardcore. So, yeah, see, it's just coming right off. So, I'll probably put a little bit of touch-up paint on it, but it wasn't me, I promise. Well, I hope you didn't pay a lot for this paint job, because they didn't do a very good job. It's basically just paint right on top of metal. There's no primer. I doubt they even cleaned it, so that's why it's coming off so easily. I mean, even when I pull the tape off really, really carefully and really, really slowly, it still pulls off pieces. I don't like installing headlights without tape on them. I might try a different kind of tape for the other side, but I don't know. I don't want to be blamed for this. It's really the painter's fault. See, it just comes right off in little dots. You ever wondered why paint jobs are so expensive? It's prep, and they didn't really do anything on this car. But that's okay, as long as it's, you know, just going to be a driver, that's fine. But I mean, you see, you know, what else can I do? What else can I do? Well, here it is, all installed and all ready to go for whenever he decides to apply vacuum to it. So, honestly, I'd take this crap back to his painter. If you look, he did a poor job of painting this anyway. And then that, dude, you gotta put it in primer. You gotta prep it. You can't just spray it and call it good. It's gonna do this. This is from tape. Imagine what the sun and all that other stuff is gonna do to it after a while. I mean, just washing it's gonna take this paint off. Let me show you up under here. So we have all the springs installed. We have the actuator and all this stuff installed. It's all brand new. It's a really, really nice piece. It's a really nice headlight bucket. There's no issues with it. It's just the top looks ugly as heck. But what can you do? You can just move on and install the other one, right? Well, working on the other headlight, this headlight is not brand new. With that being said, it's still painted just like... What kind of headlight bulge are these? Those are weird. Anyway, I'm gonna put headlights that match in there anyway. I'm not even gonna charge them just because look at those things. Those are ugly as sin. Anyway, bezel is crap, painted crappily. I mean, unless it was already white, I don't know. I don't feel like this one's gonna handle the tape very well either. I might not put tape on this one. But also we have this. I don't know what that's about. I don't think that's on the other one, but why is there a rubber hose and a hose clamp on there? Anyway, weird stuff that you find. This one also, it's not reproduction, it's an old one. So hopefully it'll go together okay. But like the other one, I gotta take it apart and take the actuator off, the bezel, all that kind of stuff. So whoever had this car before Branden took everything out of the doors. So the window, the door locks, the latches, the mirrors, everything's pretty much apart. It's missing a track on this side. But what I had to do, I had to dig through this box of goodies and pulled out these parts so that we can get this door working again. Right now it opens and shuts, but you know, there's no striker bolt, there's no outside handle. This needs lubed, it needs a whole bunch of stuff. So first, what I'm going to do is, what you always do first, is put the mirror on. Mirror is going to be step one. Then from there, it's figure out the handle and the latches and all that, get the door working correctly. From there, we can put in the window. And from there, we can get the window to work and everything like it's supposed to. I mean, even the wiring's, you know, pulled out of this thing. So, anyway, we'll get this working. But first, it's going to be this mirror, which has the remote and... looks pretty crappy, but better than nothing. Sorry about the wind noise, my canopy's kind of loud today. The easiest way to put these mirrors on is first you have to thread your remote down through the hole in the middle of the door. That will wrap through the front and be held on by a little clip. You see it right there. So that way it doesn't get in the way of the mirror or the window going up and down. But then 7/16 bolts hold the mirror in and you tighten them up like this. But the thing is, you can't do this with the window in or anything like that. So it's like step number one is the mirror. With the door mirror on, we can work on getting this door to shut properly. And the first thing is going to be is to install this stud. So this is what your latch attaches to. Luckily, everything inside is all there. What we need to do is just get it started, and then one of these will put it in place. Next, I've installed the lock cylinder. It's basically held in by a little U-clip right there. Yeah, right there. Pretty simple. If you have small hands, this helps a lot more. And then after that, we installed the door handle, which is new. It looks really good, comes with a gasket. The hard part about these handles is getting that rod correctly aligned. It needs to go around the back of the lock cylinder, and then it pushes down here on the door latch. Also, a difficult part of this is getting these bolts back up on it. I suggest using a ratcheting 7/16 wrench. That's going to be what you want to use. Other than that, you got to try to squeeze your hand in there, and that's never any fun. Alright, with everything installed, here's our final test. Note there's no weather stripping, so the door will probably close a little bit farther than it's supposed to. But, with that being said, grab from the inside. There we go. Now last but not least, can you hear the chicken? She does not like this. Alright, so the door does lock. And it does unlock. So that door is done, for at least mechanically it's done. I started work on this side and I noticed there was this weird plate riveted onto the door, and I was like, I've never seen that. That's definitely not Corvette. Why do they do that? That's weird. And then when I started putting the door handle in, I figured out why. Until I could get to the bolt on the bottom of the door handle. But, you know, if they just did it the correct way, they would have been fine. This is not necessary. But, you know, it is what it is. That will be it for today's work. We have locks, door handles, and mirrors on both sides. I put in these new anti-rattle bumpers because they came with the car. Next time what we will do is we will put door tracks in, or the door window tracks in, and then we will put the new glass in and all the trim and see if we can't get the windows to go up and down. Here's the other side with the window and with the door handle, lock, and anti-rattle bumpers. Last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grease the crap out of these latches. But that's it for today. One baby step. Chopstick, you're blocking the box, dude. Nobody can see what's in it, you're blocking it. Today, we are going to put the windows in this car. As you remember when I first got it, the doors were completely gutted. There's absolutely nothing in it other than a regulator. So in this box, we have brand new glass and also an extra door panel to put on the car. So hopefully today, when the day is done, we'll have windows that go up and down and door panels that go on and doors that open and close. So we're going to get started and see what the glass looks like. Well, I'll tell you what, that's a beautiful piece of glass. I've never actually seen a new window before. I always just deal with the old ones. That's pretty. The thing though, it's missing some of the stuff that goes in it. Luckily I have some old pieces of glass that I'm sure I can steal all of the necessary. There's little bumpers and little rollers that go on it, so I'm gonna have to go get another piece of glass and grab those rollers out of it. See what we can make. Something must smell real good in this car. Anyway, before we put the glass in, there's a couple of things we need to do. One, we need to put this window track back in. It's completely gone. And two, we need to test this window motor. The wire, they pulled all the way out. Maybe they took the doors off. I don't know, but the wire is sticking out here. We need to run it back through the door into the motor. And then with the battery charge, we need to see if the motor will spin up and down. Luckily, I think everything else is still in here in the door. We have the long vertical piece the window attaches to, which goes to that rail, and then the rail in the middle. So for the most part, we're in good shape. It's just a couple little odds and ends that need to be tidied up. When it comes to putting in these tracks, the best way that I know how to do it is to follow the marks that are already on the door. These move this side of the window in and out, this goes side to side, and then this has an adjustment too. So there's a lot of adjustments, but you can see the imprint in the paint, below the paint where the bolt used to rest. So I'm going to match those up as much as possible on both tracks, and then from there we'll be ready to put the window in, which is easier done without these. There's a piece of trim and a piece of felt that goes along this ridge of the door. Don't take this off if you're taking the window in and out. you're less likely to scratch stuff up. So that's your best bet. I'll clean off all this mud before I put the trim back on, but window goes in first. You can roll it all the way down and then the trim goes back on. With the power window motor plugged in, see what happens with the window. See that? Looks good. That was I was mostly worried about was that. So we'll put all the way at the top. From there we can put the window in. In order to mount his new windows, we have to take off of a set of old windows that I have the hardware. So there's two studs, a stud here and a stud there, that hold the window onto the track, and then there's a little guide right there, and then there's a roller, which this one doesn't have, right here, which I will take off of a different window, but got to transfer everything from an old window to a new window. Here's a little tidbit of information. This window I have is a convertible glass. Yes, the glass for a convertible versus a coupe is different, and the way you can tell is by this edge. So it's curved in for a convertible, whereas on a coupe it's straight up. You guys can see the difference. So I'll get this going and we'll get it in the car. Easiest way to get this window in is, again, you can't have any of this trim, and then all your fuzzy anti-rattle bumper things need to be gone. So first you're going to want to slide in this roller, and it does help if you have a large screwdriver. And what you want to do with that is just, you're going to want to gently pry away the door from the inner door from the outer door, like that, and that will let the roller slide in, as you saw, and now you have the window basically in the door. And the next step, what you want to do is the studs that were sticking through the window, you want to put those on the track that's inside the door. So you see how that stud is resting on that rail? There's a hole right there that stud needs to go into. Obviously the window's a little too far forward for this, but the same goes for this side. And then once you have that stud in that rail right there, you put the little nuts on it, and the window's in and you're ready to go. Once you have the window glass in, lower the window all the way down. You can install the glass limit that goes in this track. Looks just like this. Slides in and installs. You can put your anti-rattle bumpers in on each end, and then you can also put in the trim and the felt that goes along the top. And then your door is pretty much complete, other than I need to put on weather stripping, and I need to put on, there's a face that goes on there, there's a door handle that needs to go there, there's a cover plate that needs to go there, and then the door panel itself. I'm going to apologize about the wind noise first, but I went to go put the taillight lenses in because he has brand new taillights, and I figured, you know what, let's see if these bulbs work. And I turned on the lights to the car and absolutely none of them work, and looking at this you can kind of see why. So somebody's hacked multiple things. Here's some relay, I guess, that goes to the power antenna, and they spliced into the power from this light bulb. And then you have who knows what that's supposed to go here, and then a bunch of random. This one looks like it got really, really hot. I don't think that one's any good anymore at all. That's just going to need a whole new socket. And then this one's a wrong, this is out of a later model one, and it's not even plugged in. So all kinds of problems on this harness. Luckily, it's not as bad as I've seen before, and I think I can fix it. I think I can repair it. So I'm going to start cutting out all this stuff that needs cut out, replacing bulbs, replacing sockets, and just going from there. That's how it's going to have to be. Wow, I didn't notice that. That's pretty bad. These LED lights in these old cars, just not a good idea. Real light bulbs are just fine, guys. If I made it clear enough today that I hate the chickens sometimes, I walk away and I'm greeted by this. A fresh poop right where I need to work. Thanks, you jerk. And like magic, once I replace the socket and once I replace or get rid of all the bubble wiring, which was all of that, and and that's the old socket. It works. So I have to go through the rest of this. I'll probably have to replace all the sockets. That one looks kind of crusty too. Thanks, you jerk. Here's the final result. We have 2 working tail lights, and we have working peanut lights for the markers. The reverse lights don't work. I don't think it's the sockets. I think it's something else farther up in the car. The reason being is because the turn signals don't do anything either. So I'm going to call this harness good. I'm going to install it, and we will move on troubleshooting other stuff later. But the reason why I fixed this harness now is so I can put tail lights in. Well, pollen has struck North Texas, as it does every spring, and the car is filthy. Even under this canopy, they still get dirty, and there's really nothing you can do about it. So to end the video, all the work is done. So we have the 2 headlights in with the bezels looking good. I was also able to attach the fender emblem and put these rocker panels in for my stash. We have the doors all done with new weather stripping, all the handles. There's the door panels looking good. The glass is in, the windows go up and down. The dogs really want to sniff the inside of this car. We have the tail lights looking good in the back with working harness. And the driver's door also is installed and looking good. So once this work is paid for, we will be going under the hood, and we will be figuring out this. So the guy, whoever had it before, decided just to cut the harness out, and yeah, lots of bubba underneath here, but you know, it is what it is. So we'll be working on getting that figured out and getting the car running and driving again, and figuring out what we're gonna do with all this extra who knows what under the hood. So look forward to that.